You ever wonder what really separates a project that's a huge success from one that's, well, a total disaster? Here's a secret. It's not about being perfect and never making mistakes. That's just impossible. It's about having a killer system in place to handle those mistakes when they happen. And today, we're diving deep into the one tool that top companies use to turn their errors into excellence.
All right, so let me start by asking you a question. When you think about a massive project, like, say, building a skyscraper or launching a brand new car, what do you think is the single most vital part of that plan? Is it the budget, the timeline, the materials list? All of those are absolutely critical for sure, but the real answer might not be what you think.
It's this. The most crucial part of any plan is the plan for when things don't go to plan. Because, let's be real, in any project with a lot of moving parts, something is bound to go off the rails. The real difference maker between success and a catastrophic failure isn't about avoiding errors, it's all about how you respond to them. And this brings us to our first really big idea. I know it sounds totally backwards, but planning for failure is actually one of the smartest things you can do to guarantee success. It's all about building that resilience, that toughness, right into your process from the very beginning.
I mean, just think about what's at stake in the real world for a second. What happens if a bridge gets built with the wrong grade of steel, or a critical medical device is manufactured with a faulty part? The consequences can be absolutely devastating, and that's exactly why you need a formal, structured process, not just some casual, we'll figure it out later kind of attitude.
So, that formal process, it's all built around one single, incredibly powerful document, the Non-Conformance Report, or as everyone calls it, the NCR. Now, this isn't just more paperwork, believe me. It is a systematic tool for turning those inevitable mistakes into opportunities. So let's break down what it is and exactly how it works.
So what is an NCR, really? Well, you can think of it as an official red flag. Its job is to formally identify any time something deviates from the plan, anything that doesn't meet the standards that were already agreed upon, whether that's in the blueprints, the client's contract, or some big international quality standard like ISO 9001.
Okay, so an NCR really has two big jobs. The first one is all about the here and now. Fix the immediate problem. Stop the bleeding, contain the damage. But the second job, and you could argue it's even more important, is all about the future. It's about digging deep to make sure this exact problem can never, ever happen again.
All right, so when does this alarm bell actually get pulled? Let's take a look at some of the common, real-world situations that would trigger someone to create a non-conformance report.
An NCR can be triggered for a whole host of reasons. It could be a materials issue, like maybe the wrong grade of concrete gets delivered to a construction site, or it could be poor workmanship, like a sloppy weld that just doesn't pass inspection. It could also be a procedural thing, like a team just not following a standard operating procedure. Or even something like a documentation issue, a missing safety certificate. And of course, any kind of safety breach, that gets an immediate red flag, no questions asked.
Now, an NCR isn't just a piece of paper you fill out and forget. Nope, it actually kicks off a whole process, a complete life cycle. And it's designed to take an issue from the moment it's discovered all the way through to a permanent, solid resolution. Let's walk through how that works. So this first part of the process is all about immediate response. It's like first aid for the project. It starts with step 1, identification, when, say, a quality control inspector spots something that's just not right. Then comes step 2, detailed documentation. You've got to record exactly what happened, where, and when. Next, step 3 is classification, where you figure out how serious this is. Is it a major safety risk or just a minor cosmetic issue? And finally, the really crucial step, containment. You immediately isolate that faulty part or that bad piece of work to make sure the problem doesn't spread and cause even more damage.
But here's the thing. Just identifying the problem, that's not enough. Not even close. To truly solve it for good, you have to understand why it happened in the first place. This is where really powerful techniques like the 5 whys come in. You don't just stop at the wrong part was used. You ask why, and then you ask why again. And again, digging deeper and deeper until you finally hit the true root cause of the whole mess. And that deep dive into the root cause leads us right into the second half of the process, the resolution. This is where you develop a corrective action plan. And we're not talking about a quick patch here. This is a fundamental fix designed to kill the problem at its source. And then, the last step, one that so many people forget, verification. You have to actually go back and confirm that the fix worked, that the problem is truly solved for good.
Okay, we're almost there, but the job isn't done just yet.
The final and supercritical stage of this whole life cycle is formally closing the case. This creates a permanent record that the issue has been 100% resolved and, just as importantly, documented so everyone can learn from it in the future.
Now, what's really interesting is there are basically two main ways to close out an NCR. The most common way is a standard close. The problem is fixed, it's reworked or replaced, and now it meets all the original requirements. Simple enough? But sometimes a deviation might actually be acceptable as is. This is called closing via concession, and it always requires formal, written approval from the client. But either way you go, the process makes sure there's a clear, official end to the story.
And all of this brings us to what is probably the single most important takeaway. In a healthy, high-performing organization, an NCR isn't seen as some mark of failure. It's actually embraced as an opportunity. The goal is never, ever to point fingers and assign blame. The goal is to use this as a structured, blameless tool for learning, for improving, and for making the entire organization stronger in the long run.
So the next time a mistake pops up on a project, just remember this key difference. A weak organization immediately asks, okay, who failed? But a strong, truly resilient organization asks a much, much more powerful question. How can we use this to be better? And that, right there, is the true power of a process that turns everyday errors into excellence.